Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff when it comes to Battlefield 6. They're actually adding some sort of mercy law or something like that to Conquest, which people are crying about. I don't know why, but it's just Battlefield community. People just tend to, complain about everything. And you might think that this might be something, huge, changing something ridiculous about Conquest, but it's just some sort of normal feature. We're going to talk about that in just a few seconds. Also, DICE is teaming up with PlayStation and Microsoft to combat cheating on consoles, which is slowly starting to turn into a bigger problem than before. And like it or not, I already see PlayStation players and Xbox players on Battlefield 2042 are really just superior. Like, you can't really do anything with them. Even those who are on PC, it's really hard to match these guys sometimes. And it's just not about hardware cheating like Chronos or those kind of stuff. It's actually penetrating software level as well. And it's really turning into a big problem, and DICE is actually, about to do something about it right now. Also, we've got Escalation Mode. It's a new mode coming to Battlefield 6. We're going to talk about that, the rules and everything. We have some other new features and changes for Battlefield 6 at launch. We're going to go over those as well. Small changes to details and stuff. We're going to talk about that. We are taking a look at the grenade intercepting gadget, which is, something like the Irish's APS, but, just a bit different, but with the same functionality. And finally, we're going to talk about the process of remastering a map for a new game and the challenges that developers actually face when doing that. So without further ado, guys, we're going to go ahead and start the video. Just keep in mind to go down in the comment section and let me know what you think about all the changes, everything about this video, and especially about this new mercy rule for Conquest that they're adding to the game, because in my opinion, it's just creating some unwanted noise in the community, and it's not something big. It's not that big of a deal, really. So, starting off with Battlefield 6's Conquest mode, now featuring a new pop-up timer that shows mercy to the losing team if all flags are capped by the contrary team. If your team is unable to capture a flag before the timer ends, they'll automatically lose the match to prevent being spawn trapped endlessly. DICE has also added new pop-up messages when a team is about to win or lose a match. So you're seeing pictures for both of these pop-ups, and some people just call this trash and, call it anti-sandbox or things like that, when in reality, this is not something odd at all. In fact, this is something that should have been a part of Conquest from years ago. Let me just tell you the entire philosophy behind this, okay? When you are spawn trapped, you will start to lose tickets really fast, and that is just going to end up in only one way. You are losing, and the game is actually making it less painful for your team, not getting spawn trapped and getting killed endlessly. Like, that is the philosophy for those games. Now in Battlefield 6, that's not going to happen. It's going to give you a timer, and if you're not able to capture a site within that time frame, you're just going to get defeated, and that's it. The match is over. And in my opinion, this is something great. It prevents wasting time. It prevents headaches. It's better for both teams, both for the winning team and for the losing team. So in my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. It's something, in my opinion, really necessary for a game mode like Conquest, because like it or not, this whole spawn trapping thing really happens a lot. Now moving on to Battlefield 6's health regeneration rate, which has been slowed down from 20 HP per second to 10 HP per second. The regeneration time is now longer from 3 seconds to 4 seconds, whereas the auto regeneration delay remains unchanged from open beta, which was 5 seconds. So in 5 seconds in both builds, you will start to auto regenerate your health. However, it's going to take you some more time to fully regenerate your health. And that is just some sort of small balancing change, which in my opinion will turn out to be positive, because like it or not, in my opinion, it was obvious in the open beta that the health regeneration rate was just, phenomenal. It was too fast, and you could feel that, okay? So now that they're going to change that, in my opinion, that is some sort of positive change right there. However, let's talk about cheating, okay? Because cheating is now turning into a console problem as well. A few years ago, that wasn't the case, but right now, consoles are actually starting to play a role here. Despite the issue of cheating is significantly more concentrated on PC than on consoles, DICE hasn't forgotten about Chronos users. That's why they're also partnered with PlayStation and Microsoft to combat cheating on consoles. In a recent interview with Push Square, Matthew said Battlefield 6 will feature its own level of macro detection on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Quote, "Yeah, it's unfortunate that cheating has become a problem within the console space, especially with Chronos Zen machines and everything. So we've partnered with PlayStation and both Microsoft in this regard to kind of do detection. We actually have our own level of macro detection and everything. Macro detection is a technique used to identify the malicious use of automated sequences of commands like scripts for repetitive tasks, which has also led PC players to enable secure boot. Quote, "So if players are doing rapid with Javelin on the PC side, that's why we've enabled secure boot to help us combat the never-ending cheater problem. And we're aware of the console cheater issue, and we're going to be taking cheaters very, very seriously here. And we want to preserve as much as the fair play and competitive integrity that we can, because at the end of the day, we want to ensure that you're having a fair competitive space to play Battlefield in." So again, that's great. In my opinion, it's probably the first time that DICE and generally other studios that are working on the next game are taking cheating problems so seriously. Because we've always had this issue with Battlefield games, especially before EA Anti-Cheat, it was actually very obvious. Right now, things are okay, but things can definitely be better. And on console, believe it or not, I'm seeing players on console in Battlefield 2042 that are just beyond your comprehension. These guys are impossible to be console players. Impossible. You can never outgun them. They always know where you are. And it's not Chronos or hardware cheating anymore. It's layered in software cheating as well. So that's a big problem actually. However, we have new changes and features for Battlefield 6 at launch. This is by Battlefield Bulletin, but there is also special thanks to the Catwoman for all the details, so the credit goes to both of them. However, let's take a look at the changes. The assault ladder can be placed either upward or downward and can be used by every other class once deployed. So only assault class can deploy it, but once deployed, every other person in the game can use it. The engineer's vehicle supply crate not only resupplies ammunition, but speeds up equipment cooldowns for nearby friendly vehicles. It also automatically repairs friendly vehicles as well. You can no longer equip two launchers at the same time. You have to choose between anti-tank or anti-air launchers. That's great, in my opinion. Recon's drone default vision is thermal. The EMP blast can be used to destroy enemy gadgets and or kill enemy mortar players. You can't use it against vehicles. The lock-on animation is not very intuitive, and it has a very low battery life. Every single gadget must be filled up at a supply crate. There is no longer automatic replenishing. However, your current progress will be saved if you have to move away from a supply crate. So if your regeneration line is at half, let's say, and you're getting out of the supply crate zone, the game is going to remember your progress. So once you get into the zone of that supply crate one more time, it's not going to start all over again. It's going to start where you left off. That makes sense? Now the green circle around supply crates has been removed. Now we have a little icon at the bottom of the screen when we're basically within the effective area of resupplying. If you're running out of ammo, support players and supply crates will start to pulse on your minimap, making it easier to find ammo, which is interesting in my opinion. That's not going to hurt anyone, honestly. The mortar has no follow camera like Battlefield 1. Once deployed, you can aim by using the minimap. If you spot an enemy player by pressing the corresponding button, it will now appear a bracket for a short amount of time, indicating that this player was now spotted for your team. Manual spotting has a cooldown to prevent spamming the spot button. Now that is some sort of balancing change. I don't really know how this is going to work, but in my opinion, spotting people in the Battlefield game shouldn't be having cooldowns or stuff like that. That's just what I think. But again, this has to be played, this has to be tested, and you can't just decide based on something that's written down here. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to leave it at that until we actually get our hands on the game. Recon's laser designator can be used like binoculars or simply place it at a location and remotely access it from behind cover. It has more zoom options, including the normal and thermal vision. There's also below radar for all air vehicles. There's also a kill card for getting crushed by debris. Players can now quickly thank you medics and squad mates after being revived by just toggling a button via a new prompt instead of opening the combo rows. And finally, tap firing has been improved. Now, in my opinion, tap firing wasn't that big of a deal in the open beta, but it definitely needed some tweaking. Okay, it wasn't like necessary all the time. For some weapons, maybe tap firing was necessary. For example, the HK417 maybe, because it had some sort of huge recoil, and maybe tap firing was sometimes necessary for that weapon. But for most of the weapons, tap firing wasn't something necessary. It wasn't something you needed to basically master in order to get the most out of that weapon. So now that also has been tweaked. Also, there is a grenade interceptor system for support class, which is capable of tracking and destroying up to 3 projectiles as hand-thrown and launched grenades once the activation window begins after the initial detection. The GPDIS gets automatically destroyed after tracking 3 projectiles. So there's no cooldown, there's nothing. 3 projectiles max. Once it destroys 3 projectiles, it's going to get destroyed on its own, and that's going to be it. There's also a video that you're seeing showing exactly how this thing works. It works like Irish APS, okay, not going to lie, but this is more balanced. Irish APSs can be really a pain in the butt. They can be abused as well, but this system cannot be abused really because it has some sort of integrated self-destruction. So that's going to prevent people from being able to abuse something like that. However, there's a escalation mode coming to Battlefield 6, and here Battlefield Bulletin tries to explain it as best as they can. So let's take a look at this. Escalation supports 64 players. It takes Conquest's concept and ramps it up further. Instead of 5 control points, there are now 7. In order to score a point, a team must hold a majority of those control points until a meter fills up over time. Once the meter hits 100%, your team scores a single point. As the battle progresses, the number of capture points reduces, shifting front lines in key combat areas, forcing you and your squad to evolve your strategy. The first team to score 3 points actually wins. And there's also something you need to keep in mind, okay? As you progress further and further, the amount of objectives actually decreases, but the amount of vehicles your team can have will increase, meaning that it will be some sort of chaotic combat at the end of every single match. And this actually kind of reminds me of Control. Escalation, in my opinion, looks like Control, but just a bit bigger with vehicles all over the place, because Control's final sector has multiple vehicles for every single team, and it's just some sort of endless wave of vehicles just coming at you, you know? So Escalation kind of reminds me of Control, but in some sort of bigger form. Or maybe I'm just wrong, you know? I mean, I have to play the game, right? So we're gonna leave it at that until we have our hands on Battlefield 6. And finally, let's take a look at a new interview with PC Games N. Design director Shashank Uchil stated that Battlefield 6 fans' nostalgia for old maps has made them difficult to remaster because of players' expectations and rose-tinted glasses. Quote, "You wouldn't believe how difficult it is because of players' expectations. People know the map and people have certain expectations, but also there's rose-tinted glasses, like this is how it used to be." One current example is Operation Firestorm. The map had to be updated to suit the new game's tech while retaining that nostalgia factor. Quote, "That's where challenge comes in. How do we make it as destructible as every map in the package? How do we make sure that the map works with the weapons, which are different from the weapons in Battlefield 3? It's much more complicated than people think." Furthermore, DICE producer Jeremy Chubb believes that previous Battlefield games built strong foundations for the current team to expand on with their future-proofed concepts. Taking a cautious line on the topic of map remasters. Quote, "It's a fine line because people have really particular views about what that map was. They want that experience realized. But I think that we would disappoint people a little if we weren't able to evolve and embrace the new ideas and features that we have in this game. When we bring back a map like Firestorm, it still works. It's still fun to play." And I really agree with Jeremy on the entire foundation debate, because what we have left from Battlefield 3 and 4 is actually phenomenal. Like it or not, even a map like Reclaimed in 2042 looks a lot like Zavod from Battlefield 4, okay? These guys know that those maps were lit. They know how good those maps were, and in my opinion, the recipe is there. They don't have to overcomplicate anything. They don't have to reinvent any wheel. The formula is there, and all they have to do is just make something that is in par with the new engine, the new game tech, and everything that they think is new with Battlefield 6. In my opinion, that's everything they have to do. So that's about today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed and hope this video was helpful, somewhat informative. Again, do make sure to go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know if cheating on console has become a thing for you as well. In my experience, console cheaters are rising. You can see console players that perform on a whole new level, and it's impossible for a console player to be able to know exactly where you are. It's not about aim assist. It's not about those kind of stuff. All right, so thank you all guys for watching, and until next time, guys, stay cool.